Global Finance's ranking of the world's best cities to live in during 2022 has just been released, centered on 8 different parameters that calculate and compare the quality of life of people living in urban areas such as economy, culture, population, environment, etc. This year's edition also took into consideration COVID-19 deaths per thousand for each country to reflect the new reality we live in. Today, I'm going to show you the top 10 best cities to live in the world. Before we start the video, make sure you leave a like, and if you want to see more content, subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Number 10. London, England. While a pandemic recovery is slowly afoot, London held on to its reign as the world's best city for the 6th year in a row. Its position at the top, however, has never been more tenuous, says residents. In our pre-pandemic rankings, best had much to do with the quality of life factors like programming, and London is number 1 for that category, which includes culture, restaurants, shopping, and nightlife. Despite near-total shutdowns in many of those categories, London tentatively reopened this summer. A full-capacity Wimbledon and Euro 2020 final match aside, pumped tens of millions into the economy, says residents. The Let's Do London campaign by London and Partners, which promotes business and investment in the capital, also had some success getting Britons to enjoy their capital without the usual crowds. Number 9. Melbourne, Australia. Although it slid in the ranks from number 2 to number 8 this year, Melbourne remains one of the most livable cities in Australia and the entire world. The city nabbed the number 1 spot for 7 years in a row before dropping a place 2 years ago. The city shines with all of Australia's best personality traits, sophisticated, stylish, and free-spirited, and continues to attract travelers with its world-class art and famed coffee and cuisine. Scoring high on the environment in Melbourne, which maintained its 5th place from the 2020 ranking, it has strict guidelines on zero carbon emissions, and various groups keep pushing for tougher environmental standards. The city also witnessed significant population growth despite the pandemic. Number 8. Geneva, Switzerland. Despite some social restrictions still in place, Switzerland takes up 2 spots in this year's list, the only 2 European cities to cut this year. Despite being one of the most expensive cities in the world, Geneva proves its livability with a perfect healthcare score. It is the home of the Red Cross after all, and high numbers for stability and infrastructure. There's no denying the city's natural beauty either. It boasts expansive views of the Alps and Jura Mountains, and of course is home to Lake Geneva, with a daily commute that is gorgeous. We can see why people are eager to move here. Number 7. New York City, United States. New York City is reawakening with infrastructure upgrades, a packed cultural calendar, world-class hotels, a new outdoor dining scene, multicultural neighborhoods to explore, and many more vibrant offerings on display across all 5 boroughs this year. Fred Dixon, president and CEO of NYC & Company, told residents in May. In other words, New York City isn't dead, folks. The city consistently ranks for its culture. It came in 7th for museums, which are continually improving as evidenced by the 2019 renovation of the Museum of Modern Art and the Fotografiska Photography Museum that opened in Manhattan's Flatiron District. New in the sites and landmarks list, suspended Arts and Culture Park Little Island in, yes, the Hudson River. And as Broadway starts to turn its lights back on this month, we expect visitors to follow. Number 6. Paris, France. As Paris gears up for the 2024 Olympics, it's only getting better. Improved infrastructure and a handful of new hotels in the past year alone add to a city we love for its world-class art, shopping, and global cuisine. Almost as soon as the pandemic started, Parisians poured out of their close quarters onto the iconic Rue de Rivoli, the famed artery that intersects the heart of the capital, when it became off-limits to cars, says residents. The Champs-Élysées is next on the city leadership's list, set to be transformed over the next decade into a massive garden, with vehicle access cut in half and millions of euros invested in pedestrian-focused amenities. Number 5. Tokyo, Japan. Japan took early steps to prevent the mass spread of coronavirus, implementing stay-at-home orders and border closures much earlier than most other countries. That, paired with an excellent healthcare system, explains why the country has 2 highly ranked cities on this year's list. Tokyo took a cultural hit in 2020, the postponed Summer Olympics being the most obvious example, but the city still managed to raise 3 spots from last year. Tokyo continues to lead by example when it comes to infrastructure, and experts predict the city will get even more incredible in the second half of 2021 and beyond. Infrastructure aside, we'd be happy to live in Tokyo for the dining alone. The Japanese capital has more Michelin stars than any place on Earth and is, no surprise, one of the world's best food destinations. Number 4. Wellington, New Zealand. Similar to Australia, New Zealand's strict border closing kept the case count low throughout the pandemic, meaning cultural attractions and restaurants didn't remain shuttered for long. Students were also able to continue going to school, giving cities like Wellington a 100% score in education. Even if you don't have kids to worry about, the capital city is a fun, quirky place to live, perfect for art lovers and foodies alike. Located on the southern tip of New Zealand's vastly underrated North Island, the city is flanked by hills on one side and a harbor that leads straight to the South Island on the other. And everything you've heard about Kiwis being notoriously friendly? Yeah, it's all true. Number 3. Adelaide, Australia. We love visiting Adelaide for its world-class vineyards and natural wines. But it turns out the southern coastal city is a great place to take up permanent residence. The Economist Intelligence Unit gave it a score of 100, the highest possible score in both education and healthcare, judging availability and quality of both, and the city fared very well in the other categories as well. We're sure the city's pristine beaches, world-class restaurants, and aforementioned wine scene certainly add to the livability factor. Number 2. Osaka, Japan. Japan's third largest city, after Tokyo and Yokohama, is often overshadowed by the nation's capital. But there are plenty of reasons because it's a destination in its own right. For starters, Osaka is one of the best food cities in all of Japan. Must-eat regional specialties include takoyaki, battered fried octopus balls, and okonomiyaki, grilled savory pancakes with a variety of additions. We also love the city for its baseball culture, neon-lit neighborhoods, and beautiful Osaka Castle. Number 1. Auckland, New Zealand. While the city is often, mistakenly, used as little more than a transit stop en route to Queenstown, a slew of new urban renewal projects are making us all consider a permanent relocation. Once neglected sections of the city's waterfront are being transformed into buzzing areas filled with green spaces and notable shopping addresses. Even before all of these changes, Auckland has long held a reputation for being a popular spot for expats. Some 40% of its population was born overseas. Beyond having beautiful places to hike, sail, and surf within easy reach, this city has a diverse culinary scene to match its worldly population. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to see more of our future videos. With that said, keep enjoying our videos, and I'll see you in the next video.